How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? Oh, wait, hi. Good afternoon. I almost said good morning. It's Dr. Todd Royce with your live Lunch and Learn. So that may be a common thing, but that immediately off the bat brings up the movie quote for the day. Who is it who warms up on camera by saying, how now, brown cow? Ariel knows over there. Don't say it. Ariel knows. So how now, brown cow? Who warms up? What he's going to say. I don't want to ruin it by telling you what his profession is. It makes it too easy. So I'm going to stop talking soon because our special guest here, John Patterson, a specialist in Operation Iraqi Freedom, is here with some amazing stories. I have lived a very babied, sheltered life in almost every way imaginable. And due to people like John, who have sacrificed a great deal, we can do what we do. We have the right, and we have the freedom, and we have the capacity because of people like John. So I want to start John talking. John, thank you for your service, and thank you for being here to interview.
Well, you're welcome. No, it's fun to be interviewed.
Good. Well, thank you. Super glad to have you. So, as we promised in the headline there, we're going to tell you, John's going to tell you the story of being blown up not once, not twice, but 3 times. He was literally blown up in Iraq. So right off the bat, John, I've heard a little bit of these stories, but I would like to hear more, as I know they would. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, while you're there, depending on what base you were on, some of them were quiet, and some of them were very busy. And on one particular trip at Bob Anaconda, they're just dropping mortars on the base, and because they like to do that, I guess.
So who's they?
They, the insurgency.
Okay.
Which, when they step outside of their region or where they're from, they're called terrorists. But when they're working within a region or an area they're from, against a organized military, it's called an insurgency.
Okay.
And so they were just trying to kill us because we were there.
On the base?
On the base, yes.
How far can a mortar round travel?
You know, I don't know the specifics of that because I didn't use mortars myself.
Okay, right.
But they can reach out and touch you. I'm sure maybe a mile or 2 out if I had to guess.
That's far.
But
Wow.
I don't know the specifics, and it depends on the mortar. Some are close range, some are long range.
So how do you defend against mortar rounds? You have to take out the people shooting them.
Correct. Generally, for most base personnel, when an attack happens, you get your gear on and you step inside bunkers while it's happening.
Right.
And then you have your perimeter guards, but you also have sweep teams. So when the attack ends, they go out and they scout the base and make sure nobody's actually on it.
Okay.
Make sure it's clear. And
Right.
then you come out and you go back to whatever it is your job is that you do.
Right.
One particular trip to Fob Anaconda, a mortar round come down, it hit the top of the bunker that I was heading into, and the sandbags that were on it, because I was down below the explosion, the sandbags that were on it come off and hit me and threw me back. And then, of course, at that point you jump up and you get back in the bunker, get into the bunker because the attack's still happening.
Oh my gosh. Now, I have no grid for that, forgive me, but all I see is movies where someone gets blown up and she falls way back. What's the compression feel like when an explosion blows a sandbag into you?
Like getting hit by a car that's doing probably 30.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. And John laughs. That's how John deals with things. We'll get into that in a little bit. But just a little bit about John. I probably should have introduced him more, but John it's a sense of humor that I believe gets him through this stress. And he used to wear a t-shirt. I don't know if you still have the shirt.
I still have the shirt.
Okay, he knows what I'm talking about. It said, U.S. Sniper. and it shows a guy proned out with a rifle with a scope, and the whole thing is in a crosshair. The picture of it. It says, U.S. sniper, no need to run, you'll just die tired. Anyway, I think that's kind of cool. So if you're into that sort of thing. So that was number one. So was there any blood or things from that, or was it just a compression injury and a sandbag going 50 miles an hour injury?
It was just an impact from the sandbags, dust, dirt blowing around.
People don't realize how much injury can come from compression, but it is one of the most devastating types of
the concussion off an explosion sometimes can cause more permanent damage than actually having an arm or leg blown off.
Yeah, that makes complete sense with my clinical knowledge. And it's like, not exactly the same, but when I was little, my brother Greg was 2.5 years older than me, stronger than me, more athletic in every way. He knew how to inflict wounds that didn't show on the outside. I can only imagine a sandbag coming at you at 60 miles an hour or whatever, faster than that. Wow.
Yeah, it was a hard hit. You got your body armor on, and that takes some of the blow, but you just get up and you move because the next one might land on you.
Is there time for fear? Like, are you scared when that happens, or is there just action and then fear comes later?
That really depends on the person.
Yeah.
Some people, their initial response is fear, and then they do what they need to do. Some people, it isn't until they stop for a moment to breathe and think, then the fear hits them. And some people, the fear don't hit them at all. I'm a bit much personally. I really studied history and philosophies, and so when it comes to the matter of wars, I knew what I was getting myself into when I joined.
Right.
And so as far as being afraid on the battlefield, you can worry about stuff like that later when it's calmer.
Okay, yeah.
So when things got busy or just crazy, you just do.
Yeah.
And you worry about everything else later.
I think I've never had people shoot at me. I have had a gun pulled on me, and I have had a serious emergency car accident situation, and I think I respond that way, where it's all action now, and then fear comes later. It's interesting, though. So that's number one. What's number two?
Number two, that was the fun one. Number two, the Humvee hit that I was a gunner in, hit an IED in the road, and it just blew off the front of the Humvee. It actually hurt none of us, just blew up the front of the Humvee.
Define the front, like the whole engine,
like
the firewall is all that's left of the front?
There was a wheel and part of the axle missing, the framework and the body on one side. The engine was still there, but it was sitting at a funny angle now, and it was all black and charred.
Do you picture that someone's watching that happen, the guys who laid the IED, or think they just set them and just take off? Most of you know, but excuse me real quick, IED is an improvised explosive device. So like a pipe bomb type thing, is that correct?
A pipe bomb would be considered an IED, yes. Okay. But generally when military use the term IED, it's normally 100 pounds or more of explosives, because they're trying to blow up a vehicle that weighs 18,000 pounds at the lightest.
Humvees weigh 18,000 pounds?
The American Humvees weigh 18,000 pounds.
Wow.
They have quite a bit of armor on them.
Yeah, okay, wow. And so you're a gunner, which means a 50 cal, is that right?
That can vary depending on what the unit has. My unit had a little bit of everything, so I had a 50 cal, but my personal weapon was a 249 SAW too, so I had access to 2 different machine guns. 50 was much better, but
right. So okay, so that's number 2. So what's 3? What was the third time that happened?
3. The third time was the IED blew up directly underneath the Humvee, and that one's special because when that happens, the gunner normally gets popped out of it like a cork and flies 50 to 300 feet in the air and comes down, and you just hit the ground and you die. The impact kills you. In my case, it popped me out, but I was holding on to the handle of the 50 caliber machine gun, and when it flipped me up and out, dislocated my shoulder. My hand never let go, and it flipped me over, and my back hit the top lip of the turret, which is about a 1/4 inch, 5/8 inch of steel plate, and I kind of hung there until they got me down.
I actually know, I can tell what in your spine came from that specific injury. So I understand the mechanism quite well. Wow. So how long after that last injury did you get out of Iraq?
See, that was July. 2 more months after that.
Wow. So did you, I mean, if it were me and I've been blown up 3 times, I think I'd be a little bit paranoid. I mean, seriously, were you terrified every day in Iraq until you took off? I mean, I know you and your sense of humor and things like that, but
by the time you get to running convoys, by the time you get to the point where you're actually doing the operations and doing in a gun truck, you're already borderline paranoid, because you're taught to be that way. You're checking everything. You're looking for any detail, any unfamiliarity on the roads, different colorations in the pavement, because they burn tires on the road. It softens up the asphalt, and they dig it up. They put a bomb in the road, and they cover it with the asphalt. And the only way you can tell is that the asphalt's a different color. It's a little bit lighter colored than the rest of it.
Right. Oh my gosh.
They hide them in they're like tumbleweeds type bushes.
Okay, yeah.
That are on the sides of the road, and they hide them in those. They bury most of them. Before they started taking guardrails down, they put them on the guardrails, and so they would blow that galvanized steel out also in the explosion.
So it's a remote detonation. It's not always pressure. Sometimes someone's hitting a trigger.
Sometimes someone's hitting a trigger, but as tactics changed and our equipment changed, their method of detonating the bombs changed.
Okay.
So in the beginning, it was a lot of triggers,
yeah,
and we developed a way to deal with that. And then it switched to pressure plates, or sometimes they would use a garden hose filled with liquid, and so when you drove over it, the water pressure would have a connector at one end, and it would connect, and it would trigger the bomb.
Wow.
Sometimes they just used landmines or anti-vehicle mines.
Wow.
That they buried in the road.
So how has this affected you? 3 different specific powerful injuries.
The way it's affected me is I have a brain injury, which affects most everything from vision to fine motor skills. Memory. Before my brain injury, I could solve quadratic formulas and distance, rate, and time problems in my head, and now I have a hard time with multiplication.
Wow.
There's very rarely a day that goes by where I don't hurt to some degree.
Wow.
Generally, my day-to-day activities on a 1 to 10 scale, my pain levels hover between a 4 and a 7. So if I'm at a 4, generally that's a pretty decent day. Bad days, it's maxed out.
Yeah. Wow. So what about mentally speaking? Are you still to where you hear a loud sound and immediately you're afraid that you're gonna blow up again, or what is that like?
Well, as far as being afraid of getting blown up again, not so much, because I've been there and done that. But occasionally there are not so much sounds, because I found the sounds as part of my therapy. I found the things that triggered those responses, and I listened to it over and over and over again, and it desensitizes you to it. And so sounds not so much. Occasionally there's smells.
Wow.
But for the most part, at this point, it's been 10 years now, so most of the stuff doesn't bother me. On a rare occasion, normally it's a day I'm already having a bad day and I'm stressed on top of it, and then sometimes it will a little bit, but for the most part, as far as my response to things, they're very similar to the way I was beforehand.
Okay, which is basically...
I'm more concerned about listening to sirens going off than I do guns going off.
Right, sure.
But when they're going off, I can tell exactly where they are.
Right. Yeah. One of the skills you picked up, I imagine?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of your coping strategies, especially with the pain? What have you found effective?
Pain, it depends. If I work out, generally I have to ice and heat things like professional athletes do. There's no way around it.
Right.
Whereas before, I didn't even have to stretch before I exercise. I could go run 8 miles without stretching it and get done and go eat and continue on my day like I never ran to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, you're not convincing me to run 8 miles today.
Been there, done that also.
Yeah. It's just, I have to be much more aware of the pain levels. Acupuncture helps a bit. Chiropractic helps a lot, because one of my larger issues is with the brain injury, my muscles don't relax like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So they stay tight and tense as if I am flexing them and using them like I would be working out.
Right.
And so it pulls stuff out of alignment.
A lot.
So much so that sometimes I actually can't use an arm or a leg because it just, I can't make it work.
Right. Wow. So that's just amazing. And to think that we get to benefit from that, there's not much to say other than just thank you. I mean, the stuff that you go through, what you have gone through, what you do go through, the fact that we have the privileges we have because of what you've done and because of what others have done like you is just unspeakable. So I know I speak for our audience here when I say, John, thank you very much for what you've done and what you've sacrificed for us, for our way of life, and to be a blessing to a people half a planet away. And just thank you. Is there anything else you think our listeners would like to know, our viewers, or anything you'd like to say?
I was told once that no matter what, false motivation is better than no motivation. And, you know, if you carry a smile on your face, eventually you're happy.
Yeah.
If you laugh, eventually you'll be laughing because it's funny. So I do my best to smile each day, whether I want to or not.
I will say, John, I've known you a long time. You exemplify that. I've seen you do that a number of times. It must be hard sometimes, and I think you're amazing, and I want to thank you. And I appreciate who you are and what you've done for us, and just what you represent every day. God bless you. I appreciate you, bud. So that wraps up this show today. Thank you for viewing. We love your comments. We'd love to see you say thank you for his service and for others who've sat in similar chairs, not the interview chair, but the Army chair. And thank you so much for viewing. Have a beautiful rest of your day.